Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of Captain America Brave New World. Yeah, waiting for it in 4K, and I actually really enjoyed this one. Now, the main criticism of this being pretty much a Hulk movie, sequel-wise, is valid. There's some Serpent Society and stuff and everything, but I overall enjoyed this. I liked Sam and Joaquin's interplay. I liked that they tried to do the thriller kind of aspect more akin to Winter Soldier. The action moves were actually really well done in here, showcasing Sam's different style than Steve, and Joaquin's different kind of style than Sam's as well, with Joaquin still needing to learn some stuff. Sam's the most central, and I also get the kind of thing that people were talking about, like Ross being more of the kind of central kind of character. Yeah, he kind of is. It's mainly that, we've got Harrison Ford stepping in, replacing the actor that had played Ross before. We also get Liv Tyler as Betty Ross towards the end of the movie, which I thought was pretty nice to actually have that kind of work on. So, even though we have those kind of things, I still had fun with this, and it comes in at just 2 minutes shy of 2 hours, and I didn't really have that many kind of pacing issues. It went in a nice clip. We got some good kind of action scenes. We got good kind of characters actually doing things to try and figure out what's going on, and tension between Sam and Ross, which there should be. One of the one of the issues I have is that we get Sam with his new outfit, but it just kind of pops up out of nowhere. He just seems to have it at the base that he kind of has as his cap place, mainly to kind of get a new one from the one, because we see him utilizing the one that he had been gotten at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it got a kind of rip from a knife, and I'm like, this is made out of Wakandan vibranium. How the fuck did that actually do something? Unless it was vibranium or adamantium. I thought that was how they were going to kind of introduce, oh shit, a motherfucker's got an adamantium knife or whatnot, and that fucked up the vibranium shit. I'm like, oh god. But that didn't happen. They just mainly did it to have his kind of more stealth suit, kind of stealth suit inspired / more red, white, and blue kind of different kind of costume. And normally to me, I kind of want more of a kind of costume, it should have a kind of bigger kind of event for it. I do like that for the most part, they are actual practical costumes, his and Joaquin's. The wings, no. And when they do the nanotech for the helmets when they're flying, that makes sense. But for overall, we get actual physical kind of effects on that. There does become a problem, though. They do utilize a lot of CGI effects that kind of screws over the main kind of villain that we have, the leader, Samuel Stearns. And I kind of like that they kind of had him similar to kind of a Zola kind of presence in the background. So let's kind of get into what's been going on. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll get to those. I've got a little bit of stuff going on. I already hit that. We also have the Serpent Society in here. I wish they'd kind of gone a little bit crazier with them. I don't mind doing certain kind of grounded takes, but then you just got paramilitario dude doing kind of crazy ass shit that is pretty much utilized by Samuel Stearns as their kind of mercenary kind of outfit thing. Though, let me see. Though, Sidewinder is a really kind of cool villain, and I hope they don't just fucking just leave that out there, because, let's see. I don't want to mess this up. Giancarlo Esposito. He did such a good job. Ooh, do that kind of shit. And the actor described him as an intelligent badass. I would that as well. And then we've also got Ruth Bat Seraph being a former Black Widow. It's kind of pretty much a change from the kind of comic book character, but I kind of understand them kind of going more of that kind of route, especially when you went with the Black Widow movie and having all the kind of Black Widows kind of scattered. So let's see here. So we pretty much see that Ross was elected president, which I that's kind of like probably the most kind of incredulous kind of thing, especially with his known hard on for like going after the Hulk and shit. Um, it's kind of like, all right, cool. We'll see how this kind of works out. And don't worry, by the end of the movie, that kind of gets changed up because of everything that goes on. So we see that Sam and Joaquin are sent after the Serpent Society mercenary team has gotten this kind of thing. They're waiting for the buyer, so we get Sam doing his action scenes, utilizing more kind of kicks and flips and everything rather than punches, which is kind of a different kind of take than Steve. I mean, Steve did a lot of kicks as well, but he was more kind of like punchy, boxy kind of this in his fighting style, whereas Sam still does have some punches and everything, but he utilizes wings more, he utilizes the shield in a different kind of way. Not a completely different kind of way, but you see that it's kind of not as super fast as Steve's, which is nice to see. It's like, okay, he's not super soldier serum, dude. He's just a regular guy, so he still is able to put power behind it, but it's a different kind of speed going on. So he's getting through. He decides to help out the hostages instead of going after the asset. Joaquin is able to do that, and you're like, oh, yeah. He's, of course, really reveling and being Falcon and everything, which is kind of cool. He's got his own kind of thing, so we'll see how that kind of works out for him in the movie and going further on. But they get everything set up. We see Sam pretty much talking with this one dude. And you're like, what the fuck's kind of going on here? This is way too open. Perimeter's too soft. I was able to do this shit kind of too easily. Why would they do this? Yeah. So Torres is like really happy and like going up on it, and Sam's like, let me get you to talk. Let me get you to train with someone. Training, going to Baltimore, Maryland to train with Isaiah Bradley, and seeing how Sam got kind of and seeing him going through some of the kind of paces before he gets a call of Ross inviting him to the White House. Of course, Isaiah has bad blood, and I do like that they pretty much bring more of the kind of information up for those that didn't see Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It doesn't feel like a complete and utter copy and paste of it, but like giving the lowdown, he'd been imprisoned by the military for 30 years, and he really doesn't trust the government. I don't blame him. They experimented on his ass and then locked his ass up. But Sam is able to convince him to go, and the thing is, they kind of go there. We see that stuff's kind of going on, and he's trying to figure out what's going on with his phone on certain kind of things before Ross pretty much pulls Sam aside and tells him that he wants him to restart the Avengers. And he's like, okay, I'd restart the Avengers, but what happens if you and I disagree? And Ross is like, we'll work that out. And it's like, all right, we'll see how that actually really goes. And that's one of the things that I actually kind of like in the film, though it's a little bit fast because we see that Ross has this whole kind of thing, trying to do this treaty with all these countries involving the Celestial that's coming out of the sea. Thank you for bringing back that plot point from the Eternals. And of course the whole thing with adamantium. And that was the thing that was pretty much retrieved. And then, however, we hear this Mr. Blue thing, which I actually really like because that was the code name of Samuel Stearns when he was talking with Bruce Banner in the Incredible Hulk movie. So, yay, cool. There you go. This sets off Isaiah to attempt an assassination attempt. However, we learned throughout the movie that it really wasn't an assassination attempt, but it was more to kind of set more pieces into motion. The leader's thinking ahead, doing different kind of things here. However, we get the chase of pretty much Bradley before Sam is able to kind of talk him down. And then Sam tries to go to Ross and be like, listen, let me handle this and do this my way. And Ross is like, eat shit. You're not Steve Rogers. Like, god damn. And then, of course, puts Ruth on it. Ruth? Yeah. And it's like, okay, let's see how this kind of works out. And, of course, others were also involved in this assassination attempt going after other leaders of state as well. So it's not just Isaiah. It's like, what the fuck's kind of going on here? Let's see. And then we pretty much see that they kind of go up. Wilson pretty much gets attacked by Sidewinder. Ruth is pretty much doing her own kind of thing, looking into what's going on. Sam, of course, also, before getting attacked, pretty much like going to Isaiah and saying, listen, I'm going to help your ass out. And just be okay. Just keep the faith kind of shit. Keep hope. He's like, I'm not getting out of here this time, man. And I don't blame Isaiah for having that. Isaiah he's a strong kind of character here. It's even though he's saying this kind of thing where he's kind of weak, but I like the focus that they give with him on this of like this is a shitty situation for him. So we get Sam with that kind of fight where does not have his suit and is fighting Sidewinder, and it's really kind of cool to see him like he gets hurt. It's like Die Hard kind of style, but he's still able to kind of push through it and is fighting Sidewinder and is able to kind of like pretty much capture his ass. It's like, oh shit. And they pretty much utilize, let's see, traces a call from Sidewinder's phone to Virginia called Camp Echo 1. And we see that Ross is going around, flying around, trying to get to Japan and get the treaty kind of rectified. However, Japan's like, dude, you stole this shit. My intelligence apparatus found that you did this. And this is where it starts to kind of line up, where we see that Stearns pretty much used CIA funds, shuttled them in, and paid off Sidewinder's group to steal it. Of course, making it look like Ross was kind of doing it. Though when you're kind of thinking about it, you'd be like, why would Ross do this? He's attempting to do a treaty where the countries would equitably share the adamantium and try and use this as a kind of template against what Wakanda has with vibranium. And it just really doesn't make much sense. Now, Ross is usually an impulsive, hothead asshole, so playing into that kind of route, I get it. We see him really trying to control his anger, utilizing his pills, as we start seeing that Ross either had or was led to believe that he had a heart condition, and Stearns was giving him these pills that he was pretty much dosing him with gamma radiation. Stearns pretty much being utilized for his brain power and everything to help out and pretty much devise all these kind of things, as Ross is pretty much checking in, but we see that the lunatics are in charge of the asylum. He's taken over that Echo place and seeing all this kind of things. He's pretty much orchestrated all this. We get the fight scene of Sam and Joaquin, as Ruth has pretty much figured out the same thing and helps them out, having her own kind of outfit as well. Very more kind of subdued, but having more of the kind of blue and everything, owing to her Israeli comic book counterpart. So we get their kind of fight scenes, which are working pretty well, and that's the main kind of thing. Even though there are some jumps every once in a while within them, they aren't really fast or quick, and it focuses more on the action, seeing them kind of like crack through all this kind of stuff, and it's like really kind of gnarly. They're like, all right, we got to get to Ross, we got to figure out what's kind of going on here. This is not good. Because they pretty much had the thing that if Ross was elected president, Stearns would get his life back, and of course that's not working out that way. Holy fucking shit, I didn't know that was the dude. Well, they fucking killed his ass. Demolition Man, Dennis Dunphy. I didn't even... Fucking hell. Thank you, Wikipedia. So they pretty much, talk with Sidewinder again. Typical kind of thriller stuff. Has pretty much the dude analyze the pills, and of course Stearns figures that shit out and stops him and kills him. But Sam and Joaquin pretty much try and fly off to help Ross because Stearns is pretty much attempting to kill Ross's reputation. That's one of the good kind of things that I like here. He's not just completely trying to attempt to kill Ross physically. He's attempting to destroy everything about him reputationally wise. We see that he's kind of like also hulking out. We see he's attempting to showcase to Betty that he has been a changed person. Of course, his brush with mortality has also amplified that as well. We see that Japan is moving on the celestial body for the adamantium. Ross is going there as well. Stearns initiates another kind of protocol where 2 American fighters are attempting to pretty much take on the Japanese fleet, which is not good, leading to all the kind of crazy kind of shit. We get some nice aerial battles, which look pretty well done with their CGI going on, so that's pretty much why you get Stearns looking really kind of like crap. But then, of course, we've also got a Red Hulk towards the end, so we're getting to that. Joaquin, of course, tries a little bit too hard and fucks up and pretty much gets blown up by a missile in the midair and gets kind of knocked down. We then come back to him later on towards the end of the movie, which is kind of interesting because it's a change up. Even though Sam gets kind of fucked up by the end, it's it was funny to see Steve in the bed at the end of Winter Soldier and Sam coming in, and then it being kind of reversed that Sam is not the one in the bed, but he's coming in to visit the kind of protege. Let's see. We also see that Bucky Barnes comes in, kind of consoling him, which was kind of nice, reiterating that Steve made the right choice. However, that Bucky Barnes is like a congressman, or attempting to be like a congressman, which that kind of needs to be explained about in Thunderbolt, so I'll get to that when we get to that. Let me see here. Definitely looking forward to that one. That. Hit that. And that. Alright, cool. Those are little my notes. Yeah. So at a press conference, Stearns pretty much has his hands forced where he's arrested, pretty much revealing everything that Ross has been doing, working with him, and causing him to Hulk out into his Red Hulk form. One of the things is they don't really hit upon his kind of heat kind of aspect from the comics. They just keep him Hulk-like. It's like, oh god, we get him in red, as we see Sam pretty much trying to deal with him here. We do see that Ross had pretty much before this had a call with Betty, and that she's amicable to like doing what they used to do, walking down this way to see the cherry blossoms. This becomes important because Sam pretty much has to herd Ross there to try and get him back into a kind of position of calming the fuck down. And it's funny because Bucky's like, yeah, you don't need the super soldier serum. And then Sam quipping me like, I really kind of need that shit now for pretty much a survivability kind of standpoint. His wings get kind of ripped off. Well, one of them. And the Hulk is just like smashing, even smashes the White House and everything. But he is able to calm him down and get him kind of back together. And I do like that he's got battle damage from like Sam's wings and stuff like that still on him after he kind of changes back into his human form, but not greatly. We see that Ross has decided to step down as president, who we don't know who the new president is, vice president wise. That's kind of a big one that I would like to see kind of discussed. We get that Bradley gets Isaiah Bradley gets taken, brought out, and Sam and Ruth kind of like talking with him and being all right. We see that Sam talks to Joaquin, pretty much like getting him in on the Avengers kind of route and bonding over being these kind of people and carrying the burdens of these kind of mantles and trying to be those kind of heroes that you look up to. How Joaquin had looked up to Sam as well throughout everything that he was doing and going on with. And always joking about Ant-Man, which of course was pretty kind of funny because of Ant-Man and Sam's kind of relationship. But it's cool to get this kind of start and see what's kind of going on here. I like Anthony Mackie in this as Cap, as Sam Wilson, and what's kind of going on and kind of doing the kind of detective work and kind of working out and trying to talk people down with what's kind of going on, even though that doesn't work completely all the time. But I like seeing those kind of aspects. And then him visiting Ross and saying, you know what, we might not have seen eye to eye, but I'm glad that you were able to do this. Seeing Betty come in and talking with him. And then the post-credit scene of him talking to Stearns, warning of other heroes from other worlds coming to attack because of the probabilities and everything. This is, of course, talking about the incursions and everything. In the comics, pretty much, to be honest, we're forcing, destroying pretty much the multiverse. So, Earth so-and-so would intersect with other Earth, and you'd have heroes kind of fighting and just trying to save their respective planets before being annihilated. That happens in Secret Wars with the previous Ultimate Universe of 2015. That's kind of where it ends, versus the 616 universe. So it's like, okay, we're getting up into that kind of thing, dealing with that, leading into a more kind of focused kind of aspect for the MCU with it, because the multiverse up until this point has been pretty aimless. Even though I've enjoyed the films by themselves pretty much in most regards and circumstances, barring what's kind of been going on certain kind of ones, or like what they were doing with Black Widow and Spider-Man. God damn it. now we're kind of building up towards doomsday, all that kind of stuff. I'm intrigued to see how Thunderbolts kind of ties into that and everything, and how that kind of works out. But that's the thing. I don't mind hearing other kind of opinions and everything on the kind of reviews, but I actually really enjoyed this and thought that it was a good cat movie. Now, it would have been a better cat movie if it really focused on the Serpent Society, made them wacky as fucking shit, and made it a real hardcore espionage one, because the biggest kind of hit is this is more of a Hulk movie than a cat movie. And you're like, you said you really liked it as a cat movie. It's like, yeah, because we got Cap doing Cap stuff, helping out, doing things and everything, even though the main focus is the Hulk. It's a weird kind of thing. Even though it's a negative of it being more of a Hulk thing, I think its integration within being the kind of main focus of Cap going after these people and Ross and everything, it works. To where it kind of lessens the negative to a point for me. It's very kind of odd. I know it sounds almost batshit insane, but Mackie did a good job as Sam and was doing everything he could to help Bradley and Joaquin and Ross. And even though the main kind of central anchor of it was everything with the Incredible Hulk, without being an Incredible Hulk movie, it still worked. Like, I hope they really figure out the rights on that kind of shit, because that's the main thing that's kind of, like, bugging this kind of shit of, like, why they fucking are like, we've got Incredible Hulk stuff, but we gotta do it in this weird fucking way, where it's either in the Avengers or in somebody else's other movie, and that's why you get this, and why you have people like, this is more an Incredible Hulk sequel. I'm like, yep. Definitely. Yep. Yeah. And I would think that would be more of a negative for me, but it isn't. I know. Very odd. But I liked it, and I would definitely recommend this for other cat fans. I don't think you need to see Falcon and the Winter Soldier to see this, which is fucking stupid. But I also am going to have to see Thunderbolts if the same thing kind of applies, because if they do half the amount of work that they did here to pretty much introduce Isaiah Bradley, understand what kind of was going on in him being Cap, you just don't really need Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If you're like, this asshole, like, this is Isaiah and what the government did to him, and that's fucked up and stupid and wrong. And this is U.S. agent who took the responsibilities and murdered a motherfucker and became U.S. agent. Yeah, okay. Like, if that happens, it's like, okay, I'm fine with that being... because that's fucking crazy where I could be like, yep, that's gone. You just fucking snapped it yourself, man. It's... But nothing really much is lost except, like, some bantering of, like, Zemo. Yeah. So, do you need to see Falcon and the Winter Soldier to see this? No. If you want to see how Sam gets his first Cap costume, sure. But you see that costume in here. So, you know, it's just... It just goes to show Marvel's strategy for what was kind of going on in the beginning here. Just went fuck balls wild, and you could just get to these kind of ones. I don't mind the TV shows if you actually make TV shows and don't chop up kind of weird ass kind of in between movies for certain kind of things. So, I overall enjoyed this for the plot, the characters, and the kind of world building that were going on, and definitely the action. So I'd definitely recommend this. So, those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.